Let's talk about how you can boost your social confidence with a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. So, I'm going to give you some strategies today that are going to help you right away become more confident in social settings, be they at work or in life in general. All right. So, why does a growth mindset matter in social fluency and for your social skills? Well, the first thing is if you look at challenges and challenging social interactions and social interactions in general, for that matter, as opportunities to learn and to grow and to see them as teachable moments, something that you can glean from and learn from, as opposed to a threat to your ego, you're going to be able to have that growth mindset to better embrace challenges along the way, particularly if you're put on the spot and you weren't prepared to talk, or you feel butterflies in your stomach when you are faced with a high stakes conversation or communication event. Having this growth mindset is going to help you become more adaptable and flexible in your communication. Also, what a growth mindset allows us to do is really get into the state of mind and the frame of mind of continuous improvement, that we are constantly evolving social creatures. You know, if we can think that being able to improve our communication skills is something that is actually going to be improved upon, as opposed to in a fixed way where it's an innate quality where we're born with, and some people are, you feel like some people are just born communicators. That's not going to serve you as well as having a growth mindset where you can really be confident in knowing that you can improve your communication skills with targeted exercises and practice, activities, role play exercises, simulations, practicing social interaction in a safe space where you feel comfortable enough to take risks with learning new strategies, applying those strategies, and then taking them and implementing them into your everyday, day-to-day life, not to mention a place where you can get feedback. That's going to put you in a much better place. And you're going to notice over time that you're way more confident in social situations. And then also, if you think about effort, how much effort you're putting into perceived exertion, perceived effort, then you will be more confident in knowing that if you're putting in the effort, you're going to get results on the other side. So if we think about the opposite of a growth mindset, which is a fixed mindset, and how it limits social fluency, we can boil it down to three top areas. So a fear of failure, where you are either feeling social anxiety, or maybe you're feeling evaluation apprehension, where you feel like people are judging you, or you're maybe even judging yourself, right? This is what we call a situation where you are actually avoiding social interactions and social situations, and perhaps even social gatherings. Like you might decline events and get-togethers because you're afraid of maybe not showing up in the best way, or saying something wrong, or being judged. Just any type of fear of failure, whatever that might be for you, because for everyone, it's going to be different. Maybe also this fear of perfectionism, trying to become the perfect communicator, whatever that means for you. Maybe that perfectionism is deterring you from going out, meeting people, putting yourself out there, getting outside of your comfort zone, pushing the boundary of, you know, what you feel like the safe zone for your social interaction is, versus maybe going to that networking event, scheduling that one-on-one meeting with your boss, you know, trying something new, meeting people, putting yourself out there, joining social groups, this and that and the other, because you're afraid of perfectionism and maybe holding yourself back because you have unrealistic expectations on maybe how you should show up in social interaction. And then, of course, limited growth, which causes or really stems from this lack of confidence and lack of belief in yourself that you can actually improve your social skills and your communication, because this is actually something we can all improve upon, we can all learn from. And we don't have to feel like if we weren't born natural communicators, then there's no hope. That's actually not true. Most people actually do need to consciously improve their communication, be it intrapersonal communication, interpersonal communication, nonverbal communication, active listening, right? All of these encompass communication. So there's something for everyone to improve upon. So let's talk about 4 strategies that you can use right away to cultivate a growth mindset that's going to catapult you into the realm of effective communication. The first thing is really be mindful, become aware of the thoughts you're having. This is what we mean by intrapersonal communication, being aware of your inner voice. What is it saying? Is it negative? Is it positive? Are you ruminating? Is it planting a seed of doubt in your mind, like before you have to go on stage or before you present at the meeting or before you go on a coffee date? Do you feel like you're building yourself up for success, or are you, letting that nagging voice of self-doubt infiltrate your thoughts? What does that look like? So be mindful. And then if you do have those negative thoughts, can you challenge them in any way? Can you say, wait, hold on a second. Just because I think this doesn't mean I am this, right? Just because I might have a negative thought about myself doesn't make that true. Can you challenge it? Can you flip it on its head? Can you flip the script and say, well, hold on. There might be a kernel of truth in this, but what can I take away from this as an overall positive note? So try to replace those negative thoughts, reframe, in other words. That's a really great technique to challenge those negative thoughts. And then over time, you will stop those negative thoughts in their tracks. And over time, you will start to get fewer and fewer of those negative, nagging thoughts that deter you from taking those social opportunities, having those social interactions, putting yourself out there. And then think about, this being a process. It's not an overnight win, right? You're not going to join a communication course or community like Explearning Academy, and then the next day you're, firing on all cylinders with whatever type of communication event you participate in. It really is a process. Just like I love the analogy of, going to the gym and working out, right? We're working on our social skills. We're working on our executive communication skills. And that takes time, just like any skill, just like building muscle, just like becoming fitter cardiovascular in your cardiovascular health as well. So if you keep at it, if you stick to it, if you're consistent, you will see progress. And I think if we aim for the progress over perfection mentality, because you can always make progress, right? Whereas this idea of, the nebulous, ephemeral perfection, whatever that is, again, it looks different to everyone. And my idea of perfect might be different from your idea of perfect and Joe Schmo's idea of perfect. It's much better to think about, this is a journey. I'm going to commit to it. And I'm going to celebrate my wins along the way because I'm looking at progress. Even those small steps, those small wins should be acknowledged. You don't have to go all out and, have a big party. I mean, you could if you wanted. No one's stopping you. But the point is, acknowledge it. Give yourself a pat on the back. Be, grateful for where you are right now, and also grateful for the journey ahead. And then feedback is always important, right? When we're communicating in that situation, we're constantly collecting feedback, whether we're aware of it or not, right? So the overt feedback that we get from people pointing out certain things, or us seeking out that feedback, that overt feedback, and also the covert feedback where we're picking up on certain social cues and we're noticing that maybe someone's checked out and maybe we're rambling too much, or we're not getting to the point, or it's not clear enough, or we're not speaking loudly enough. We're constantly getting feedback from people, right, in communication. So always treat those as, these precious gems that you can actually do a lot with. So seeing that feedback also as an opportunity to grow and to learn and to progress in our goals. So a lot of people tell me, oh, I have social anxiety, or I'm afraid of interacting, or I have, speaking anxiety or stage fright, or the fear of public speaking. My very first video, I remember it was called, I talked about FOPS, right? The fear of public speaking. We all have some sort of social anxiety to a certain degree. I mean, I wouldn't say all of us, but many people do. So the first thing is to identify what your social anxious triggers are, right? What kinds of situations bring that out? Is it public speaking? Is it a meeting? Is it just a casual coffee date? Is it a telephone call? Is it being on Slack? Is it asynchronous communication, synchronous communication? Do you have email anxiety? Do you have anxiety, making a first impression? Think about it, right? What are some of the triggers, and can you identify them? What makes you feel anxious? Once you do that, start to practice some relaxation techniques. Could be meditation, deep breathing, the physiological sigh, which is one of my favorites, mindfulness, maybe doing some sort of activity like walking upstairs, doing some jumping jacks or air squats, just to kind of shake that anxiety out of you, can also really be very helpful. And then just really think about what is the, the minimal thing that you can do here. What is the smallest step you can take here? What is the lowest stakes, lowest pressure, lowest risk interaction in the realm of what triggers you social anxiety wise? And then gradually increase your exposure. So if it's a phone call, start with calling up your best friend. Then you graduate to, an acquaintance. Then, maybe ordering food from a restaurant, depending on what triggers you, what triggers that social anxiety. So start really small, okay? And then build up from there and gradually increasing. And then, of course, acknowledge your progress. You can even, tell your accountability partner, accountability buddy about, your progress, and celebrate those victories, no matter how small they are. Just celebrate them because it feels really good. It's a nice dopamine boost and you'll feel better about it. And you can always think about, well, I did that really well, didn't I? Or I could have done this a little bit better, but I'm making progress. And then, of course, thinking about how is active listening going to play in here? And what about body language? Thinking about your nonverbals as well, right? What are people saying non-verbally and verbally? Can you read between the lines? Is there something that's not said? Is there a way that you can think about, boosting your confidence through becoming a better listener, because suddenly you're not putting the attention on you. The focus is no longer on you. It's on your interlocutors. It's on the speakers. It's on the people that you're engaged in conversation with. Having really good body language and eye contact and open, positive body language, a soft smile. This is all really helpful in improving your confidence and giving you that immediate confidence boost. Even if you might not feel it right away, it can still put you on the path to feeling that confidence over the course of the interaction. And then thinking about, well, do I understand this person? Am I really getting picking up what they're putting down? Am I being empathetic? And that, of course, is going to tie into the active listening, because when you're actively listening and engaged and you're really hearing what the person has to say in their tone of voice, in what's not said, in their body language, in the energy levels, in their pacing, in their prosody, everything is going to give you some sort of insight and information into the other person. And you can use that to harness the empathy and to show validation, show empathy. And that's really also going to translate into better communication outcomes, but also a confidence boost for yourself. So one of the easiest lifts in feeling more socially confident and having this growth mindset approach as well is thinking about how can you get better at small talk and icebreakers. And small talk doesn't have to be superficial, right? I've said this many times and I'll say it again. Small talk is a segue into deeper conversations. And small talk can be sincere, it can be authentic, and it doesn't have to be superficial. So with that in mind, thinking about asking open-ended questions, that's going to open up the door to so much more interesting conversation and insights and valuable information, as opposed to just asking a yes no question that's done in a couple seconds and then you move on, and then it's like, okay, twiddling your thumbs or watching paint dry. We don't want that kind of situation, right? We want to have a conversation that ebbs and flows. It's very nonchalant, very dynamic, and effortless. And open-ended questions, my friends, can help us get there. Also, thinking about, how can I find common ground with this person? What are some of the things that we share? What are some interests that we might have overlapping? So can you find common ground on a personal and professional level? So share relevant information and pick up on what is of interest to the people that you're engaged with. Always show genuine interest, never feign interest, because that will come back to bite. So if something is not of interest to you, try to ask a question that will get you to be interested, or try to treat it as something that you can learn from. So maybe you're not interested in that topic right away, but maybe, the way they're engaged with it is so interesting to you, or the way they communicate it, or you really, like how they their energy when they talk about it. Or maybe you do a topic shift and you can ask them about something that you actually genuinely are interested in. But try to be genuinely interested and really show that support as well. And then, of course, practice makes progress. The more you practice, the more comfortable and confident you're going to become. So put yourself in situations where you can practice your communication and your social skills, because that's going to make a world of difference, my friends. So when you're navigating difficult social situations that might be, filled with social anxiety, try to stay as calm as you can, because that's going to help you get out of that fight or flight mode. And it's going to help you collect your thoughts, think before you speak, and then take action, whether that is taking a 5-minute timeout, collecting your thoughts, taking a power stance, like Amy Cuddy talks about, and thinking about what you can do there. Of course, actively listening, because if you get ahead of yourself and you're not really paying attention and you start ruminating in situ, like in that moment, that's going to do more harm than good. So really think carefully about what the other person is saying, how they're saying it, and if you're not clear, ask for clarification. Be as assertive as you can with your thoughts and your feelings. Do so respectfully. When you're assertive, you're showing confidence, but you're also being respectful. And then if it's appropriate, seek compromise, right? Find a solution that's a win-win for everyone. That's part of negotiation. So if that's relevant in that situation, maybe compromise is something that you look for. We always want to think about how we can use feedback to continuously improve ourselves. So maybe you go out and you actually ask for feedback from your colleagues, from your friends, from your mentors, from your family, from whoever you can, and don't be afraid to do that, right? And tell them, I'm working on my social skills, I'm working on my executive skills. I would love your feedback on this. How was my tone? How was my presentation? How was my delivery? What did you think of my elevator pitch? I would love your 2 cents. People are more than happy to share that, particularly if it's solicited advice, right? When they're giving feedback, be active, be engaged. Don't take offense to what they're saying. Use it and treat it as a teachable moment. And then always reflect on it. Make a note of it. Maybe you have a communication log where you log, your social interactions and what went well, what could have gone differently. And then always implement and apply, because without that, then we're just going to be stuck in the same spot. And if we want to improve, if our goal is to improve, then we've got to take the necessary steps forward, which is the reflection component and applying that reflection to future social interactions. So in the long term, when we're thinking about a growth mindset and how it contributes to boosting our social fluency and our social confidence, we can think of 3 things. Always recognize your progress along the way. And I really think it's a great idea to keep a communication log where, it can be as simple as I did I practiced active listening today and here's what I learned. Or I tried to practice active listening, but it was really hard to focus because I was really hungry and I was thinking about my lunch, or I was really distracted by the speaker and it was hard for me to listen, right? But in another situation, I did active listening really well because XYZ happened. So when you look at that and you write down a win, you put a small win in there, maybe in a different color. I love color coding things because I'm a visual person, a visual learner. For me, that helps. You can always do that. And you can always look back and say, okay, what was my teachable moment here? What did I learn from this situation? What's a win? And then the other thing that's really great about that is anytime you feel self-doubt creeping in, or you feel that negative inner voice coming through and you're trying to shut it down, but it's very loud and overpowering, you can look back at your communication log, refer to your small wins or big wins, and say, wow, look at that. I did this communication event really well. I aced that social setting. Whatever, right? You look at those small wins and that can boost your confidence in that moment as well. Focus on the positive things that you did in your social interactions. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes. And, sometimes it's really easy to focus and have that negativity bias on those, things that didn't go that well, but try to focus on the positives, right? That's going to serve you well because, again, it's going to tap into your confidence and help you. It's good to learn from your mistakes. We need to learn from our mistakes to move forward, but don't forget to, don't lose sight of the positive things that you do in your social interaction and be grateful for that as well. And then just keep that curious mindset going. Stay curious, stay engaged. You don't have to have all the answers. You can, we're all working on ourselves. We're all works in progress. So having that mindset is really going to help us because, it's not that we have to show up perfect. We show up and we make progress. That's more than enough. And it's already plenty and it's already going to get you really far. So that's my hot take on boosting your social confidence in social interactions so that you can improve your executive communication skills and also your social fluency so that you can communicate as best you can, as fluently as you can, as confidently as you can across various social settings in any type of social interaction, be they professional or casual. So I hope that you take these strategies, make them your own, try them on for size, and keep on working on your communication skills because that's the name of the game. That's how we're going to get better at this. All right. Happy exploring, everyone.